All right, hello everybody. Bostonian plays video games. Fallout 76. Probably gonna play this game until Obsidian's Outer Worlds comes out. That looks pretty cool. Looks like it's gonna go over kind of a corporatocracy and with the dark sense of humor and. I love that kind of stuff. As I've stated before, BioShock and BioShock Infinite, two of my favorite games besides Fallout 4. Fallout 3, God of War, Legend of Zelda. So, and the reason why I like those games are not only gameplay mechanics, but also the narrative that is woven into, basically first-person shooters or RPGs, stuff like that. So, oh, good. For some reason, I just collected XP. Today, though, I wanted to, because I've been thinking about it, and today I wanted to go over or talk about, how a post-apocalyptic story lends itself to the best exploration of values, because it's able to take away the immediacy of what's going on presently, and offer more of an objective view. So, for instance, if you imagined waking up and no one was around, and you were in the middle of a post-apocalyptic environment, you would have access to empty grocery stores. So you'd have access to probably people's apartments and houses and bedrooms and possessions that they collected. And it's a way to take a step back and see what people were concerned about, see what people were excited by, and basically see what the collective values were of a particular society. So again, for instance, if you woke up and it was an environment much like this that's presented in Fallout 76, and you were a lone wanderer who now needed to survive in a completely different reality, you'd find, let's say Us magazine. Well, what does the magazine cover? What's the picture on the cover? What are the articles that are being promoted that are within the magazine? Let's say, 10 ways to seduce your partner, or 11 ways to be sexier, or 5 trusted diets. You'd very quickly see what we all were concerned with, before the bombs dropped, or however, the apocalypse happened in that imaginary world. Now, the reason why I'm here in at the mansions is because I think it is, close enough to our experience now, and they've obviously predicted that in the future there'd be worker displacement and no unions, and a hell of an outcry because of it. And now that we're in a post-apocalyptic Fallout 76, job now or else, it seems again less. I don't want to say it seems less important, but the idea behind these signs, again, are just without emotion. They're without. It's only intellectual. You can only take a look at that and say, "Oh, well, what happened here?" From looking at the graffiti and the protest signs, I can deduct that workers were unhappy and came to millionaires' homes and tried to squash the effects of automation. So that's what's happening in this story, which is really cool. And again, and it's one of the things that I just wanted to briefly discuss was how cool the post-apocalyptic story is, and how it can shed light on what our values are now, and do it again objectively. And I mean, if you were walking around a post-apocalyptic environment, you'd see what? You'd see football fields and soccer fields, and again, magazines, and you'd go into somebody's bedroom and you'd see, particular toys and, possessions that personality attached itself to, and perhaps journal entries that would explain the psychological conflicts at that moment, at that time. Because again, if you go back to ancient Rome or something like that, whether or not adolescents were talking about writing in a journal and talking about the difficulties, essentially the difficulties of fitting in with 300 kids in the senior class. I mean, probably not, but looking at a journal entry today, obviously the psychology influenced by an environment of categorization and comparison, has tremendous psychological effects on people, and kind of drives this, for lack of a better term, psychological maladies are developed that have to be expressed in a particular way. Now, if you enter a post-apocalyptic world and you find that, your main function at the time is not to, take a pill so that, you can appear less depressed than you would be in, 2019. Your main focus would be survival, finding a place to stay, learning how to, stay healthy in the wasteland as far as eating, and and a lot of this stuff, collecting junk, modding weapons, would probably be close to the way that it would go. Your concern would not be about what the neighbor thinks down the street, and all these other kind of tiny daily concerns that are a product of our environment. And that's the most refreshing part of the post-apocalyptic story too, is being relinquished of those things, and being able to take a step back and see how silly a lot of things that we're concerned about are. So that's my opinion on the importance of post-apocalyptic storytelling, and what its main function, in my opinion, is to be able to take an objective look at what our values are, and to recognize them as something that's kind of fleeting and not necessarily that important, when the reality shifts and it changes. So, and now we'll move